Lisa Morgan walked into the Great Hall on Centauri Prime with her head held high. The massive room was filled with aliens from 47 different worlds. Some looked like giant bugs with hard shells and many legs. Others were made of pure light that moved like ghosts. There were fish-like creatures in water tanks and rock beings that looked like living mountains. All of them stared at her with hate in their eyes. The human ambassador wore her best blue uniform with gold buttons. Her gray hair was pulled back tight and her face showed no fear. Behind her walked Captain Jake Sullivan, a tall man with a medal, eye that glowed softly red. He had lost his real eye in a battle 3 years ago. His hand stayed close to his weapon, but he did not draw it. Chancellor Vextar stood up from his throne-like chair. He was 10 feet tall with 6 arms and a face like a praying mantis. His green skin gleamed under the bright lights. When he spoke, his voice sounded like grinding metal. Ambassador Morgan, your time is up. Humanity has caused too much trouble. In our galaxy, you free slaves that belong to us. You give weapons to weak planets. You refuse to follow our rules. This ends today. Lisa looked around the room at all the angry alien faces. She had been Earth's voice in space for 15 years. She had seen wars and made peace deals. She had watched human colonies grow from nothing into great cities. But she had never seen so many different species work together against her people. It was both frightening and impressive. The ethereal collective speaker floated forward. Zephyros was a being of pure energy that looked like a small star with arms. When he talked, his light pulsed with each word. Your species spreads like a disease across our perfect order. We have kept slaves for thousands of years. It is our way. You come and tell them they are free. You arm them and teach them to fight. This cannot continue. Captain Sullivan's metal eye recorded everything. He watched each alien representative and counted their guards. There were over 200 armed beings in the hall. Each one carried weapons that could kill a human in seconds. But Jake was not worried about dying. He was worried about the message they would take back to Earth. The Depth Lord's ambassador spoke next. Admiral Coralfax was a massive shark-like creature that breathed water instead of air. His tank was 20 feet wide and filled with dark blue liquid. Humans are too aggressive, too violent. You fight wars over small things. You never surrender when you should. The galaxy was peaceful before you came to the stars. Lisa almost laughed at that. The galaxy had been full of wars when humans first left Earth. The strong ate the weak and no one cared about fairness. But she kept her face calm. Admiral, we only fight when attacked. We only free slaves because slavery is wrong. We give weapons to planets that cannot defend themselves. We have never started a war in space. Chancellor Vextar's compound eyes focused on her like a predator watching prey. But you finish them in ways that scare us. The Battle of Kepler Station, the liberation of Omega-7, the siege of Titan's Gate. You humans fight like you have nothing to lose. Because sometimes we don't, Lisa replied quietly. When you attack innocent people, we will stop you. When you enslave entire worlds, we will free them. When you threaten our families, we will fight back. This is who we are. The Shard Empire's representative spoke in a voice like breaking glass. Prism Heart was made of living crystal that changed colors with her emotions. Right now she glowed angry red. Your independence ends today, human. The galaxy has decided. You will give up all weapons. You will dissolve your military. You will submit to our rule. You have 30 days. Jake felt his heart beat faster. This was worse than they had expected. The aliens were not just angry. They were united. In all of galactic history, so many different species had never worked together. Usually they spent their time fighting each other. But fear of humanity had brought them together. Lisa stood up straighter. She thought about Earth and its blue oceans. She thought about human children playing in parks on Mars. She thought about the free colonies that looked to Earth for protection. She thought about the former slave worlds that now governed themselves because humans had helped them fight for freedom. We reject your ultimatum, she said in a clear, strong voice. Humans will not give up our weapons. We will not dissolve our military. We will not bow to anyone. If you want to force us, you will have to try. But remember this, every time someone has tried to conquer humanity, they have learned that we are harder to kill than we look. The hall erupted in angry sounds. Some aliens clicked their claws. Others hissed through sharp teeth. The energy beings pulsed with rage. But Chancellor Vexstar raised one of his 6 arms and everyone became quiet. Then you have chosen death for your species, he said slowly. We will gather the largest fleet in galactic history. We will come to your worlds with overwhelming force. We will show the galaxy what happens to those who refuse to obey. Lisa and Jake turned to leave. As they walked toward the exit, the captain leaned close to whisper, "Ma'am, our scouts report massive ship movements in every sector. They're actually doing it. Building the biggest armada anyone has ever seen. Then we better get home fast." "Jake," Lisa whispered back, "Earth needs to know what's coming." As they left the hall, Chancellor Vexstar called out one last time, "Enjoy your last days of freedom, humans. Soon your stubborn pride will be crushed under the weight of galactic justice." Lisa did not turn around. She kept walking with her head high, but inside she felt the weight of responsibility. 47 alien species were about to declare war on humanity, and she was the one who had just told them to bring it on. Admiral Ryan Carter stood in the war room deep under the ground in Geneva. The walls were covered with screens showing the galaxy's spiral arms. Red dots marked where alien fleets were gathering. There were thousands of them, like angry red stars across the map. Each dot represented ships that wanted to destroy humanity. The admiral was 55 years old, with short gray hair and scars on his hands from his days as a fighter pilot. He had fought in the corporate wars when he was young. He had commanded fleets during the Centauri crisis, but he had never seen anything like this. The aliens were building the largest war fleet in galactic history. General Patricia Hayes pointed at the tactical display with a metal rod. She was a tough woman who had started as a ground soldier and worked her way up through the ranks. "Their strategy is simple, Admiral. They plan to hit all our outer colonies at the same time. They think we'll surrender after they destroy a few worlds. They think we're cowards who will give up to save lives." Colonel Nathan Brooks shook his head. His face was covered with scars from battles on a dozen different worlds. He had lost his left arm fighting bug-like aliens on New Sparta and now wore a mechanical replacement. "They don't understand us at all. Every human world will fight until the last person dies. We don't surrender when our families are threatened." Dr. Elena Rodriguez activated another screen. She was the smartest scientist on Earth and had spent the last 5 years building new weapons for humanity. Her dark hair was streaked with white from working too many long nights. "Our quantum torpedo arrays are ready on all major colonies. The plasma shield generators are working. We've put gravitational mines around every important system." Admiral Carter studied the enemy numbers with cold eyes. His wife and children lived on Mars. His brother commanded a mining station near Jupiter. This was not just a war for him. It was personal. 10,000 ships against our 800. In a normal fight, we would lose before we started. "Good thing we don't fight normal," General Hayes said with a smile that showed no humor. "Every human colony has been turned into a fortress. Our people have been moved to safe bunkers or given weapons and training. We've made every asteroid field into a weapons platform. When they come, they'll find surprises waiting." On the frontier world of New Denver, Mayor Kyle Thompson watched the last civilian transport ship fly away into space. The planet had once held 2 million people. Now only 50,000 remained. They were all volunteers, miners who knew how to use explosives, engineers who could fix anything, and former soldiers who refused to run away. Thompson was 60 years old and had served in 3 wars before becoming mayor. His hands were rough from years of hard work and his back was bent from old injuries. But his eyes were still sharp and his aim was still true. "Lieutenant Clark, how long until the alien fleet gets here?" Lieutenant Amanda Clark was 25 years old and fresh from the military academy. She had volunteered to stay when her family evacuated to Earth. 18 hours, sir. Should we send a distress signal to the fleet?" Thompson loaded his old rifle with steady hands. The weapon had belonged to his grandfather and had never failed him. No distress signals, Lieutenant. We're not victims here. We're the trap that's going to snap shut on them. Across the planet, 50,000 humans prepared for battle. They had spent weeks digging tunnels under the major cities. They had hidden weapons in every building and planted explosives in every important structure. The spaceport had been rigged to explode. The power plants were booby-trapped. Even the water treatment facilities had been turned into weapons. In the capital city of New Denver, former Marine Sergeant Bob Martinez led a team of civilians in final preparations. Martinez had fought on 6 different worlds and knew how to hurt enemies who thought they were safe. Remember, people, when they land, let them get comfortable. Let them think they've won. Then we show them what happens when you threaten human families. On Earth, President Helen Murphy stood before cameras that would broadcast her message to every human world. She was 50 years old with kind eyes and a grandmother's face, but her voice carried the steel of someone who would never give up. My fellow humans, we face the greatest threat our species has ever known. 47 alien races have united against us. They demand our surrender. They want us to kneel before them like slaves. They are about to learn that humans kneel too. No one. The message went out across human space at the speed of light. On Mars, families gathered in their living rooms to watch. On the asteroid mining stations, workers stopped their jobs to listen. On the outer colonies, farmers and factory workers heard the president's words and felt their resolve grow stronger. These aliens think we are weak because we value life, President Murphy continued. They think we will surrender to save our children. They do not understand that we fight hardest when our children are threatened. They do not know that humans are most dangerous when they have nothing left to lose. In the Deep Space Monitoring Station orbiting Pluto, Captain Danny Rodriguez watched the long-range sensors. He could see the alien fleets moving through hyperspace toward human territory. There were so many ships that they showed up as solid walls of red on his screens. This is going to be the biggest battle in galactic history, he told his crew, and we're right in the middle of it. Back in the Geneva War Room, Admiral Carter received reports from every human world. The defenses were ready. The weapons were charged. The people were prepared to fight. But there was one more thing they needed to do. Dr. Rodriguez, he said quietly, is Project Earthrise ready? The scientist's face went pale. Project Earthrise was humanity's last resort. If they activated it, there would be no going back. Yes, Admiral. The quantum field generators are in position around Earth's orbit, but we can only use it once. And we'll only have 17 minutes. 17 minutes to win or lose everything, Admiral Carter said. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But deep in his heart, he knew it would. The aliens were coming with everything they had, and humans would have to use everything they had to stop them. The Battle of New Denver began when the alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at 3:47 in the morning. War Marshal Kethver led 800 ships of the Hegemony's Third Fleet. He was a giant insect creature with 4 arms and compound eyes that could see in every direction. He had conquered 47 worlds using the same simple plan: blast the planet from space until nothing moved. Then land troops to finish the job. Commander Alex Turner watched from his hiding place behind New Denver's largest moon. His ship, the UES Defiance, was a heavy cruiser built for war. It carried enough firepower to destroy a small city. But it was just one ship against 800. That was why Turner was not planning to fight fair. The alien fleet moved into perfect formation above New Denver like they had done it 1,000 times before. Their ships were beautiful in a deadly way, long and sleek with weapons that glowed with stored energy. Each ship was 3 times bigger than any human vessel. Each one carried enough firepower to crack a moon in half. "Sir," whispered Ensign Maria Santos from her position at the sensor station, "enemy ships are charging their weapons. They're getting ready to burn the planet." Turner smiled with cold satisfaction. The aliens were doing exactly what human intelligence had predicted they would do. They were treating this like every other conquest. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Activate Ghost Protocol, he ordered quietly. All around New Denver, space came alive with hidden human ships. They had been waiting in asteroid fields, behind moons, inside the rings of gas giants. Each ship had been running silent, with all power systems shut down. To alien sensors, they had looked like space rocks or debris. Now they dropped their stealth fields and powered up their weapons. War Marshal Kethver's compound eyes registered shock as his sensors suddenly detected 300 human ships surrounding his fleet. His flagship, the massive dreadnought Conquest of Worlds, shuddered as alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Impossible! There were no ships here when we arrived. But Commander Turner was not finished with his surprises. All ships weapons free. Show these bullies what humans do to those who threaten our families. The quantum torpedoes launched first. Each one contained the destructive power of a small star compressed into a weapon the size of a coffin. They had been Dr. Rodriguez's masterpiece, a way to turn matter into pure energy and direct it at a target. The alien shields, designed to stop conventional weapons, melted like ice in a furnace. In the first 30 seconds of battle, 200 alien ships simply vanished. They did not explode or burn. They were there one moment and gone the next, converted into expanding clouds of superheated gas. War Marshal Kethver watched his fleet die around him and felt fear for the first time in his long military career. "Return fire!" he screamed at his crew. "All ships, return fire!" The alien weapons struck back with beams of pure energy and missiles that could track their targets across entire star systems. But the human ships moved like dancers, twisting and spinning through space in patterns that seemed impossible. Their pilots had trained for this moment their entire lives. Captain Lisa Park commanded a squadron of human fighters near the planet's North Pole. Her ship was tiny compared to the alien dreadnoughts, but it was fast and deadly. "Blue Squadron, follow me in. Target their engine sections. Let's see how tough they are when they can't run away." The human fighters dove into the alien formation like wolves attacking a herd of sheep. They were outnumbered 10 to 1, but they fought with the fury of people defending their homes. Every pilot knew that their families were watching from the planet below. Every pilot knew that failure meant the death of everything they loved. On New Denver's surface, Mayor Thompson watched the light show in the sky through his office window. Each flash of light was a ship dying. Each explosion was someone's son, or daughter or parent being killed. But he felt no pity for the aliens. They had come here to murder innocent people. Now they were learning that humans did not die easily. "That's for thinking we'd go quietly," he said to Lieutenant Clark, who was coordinating the planet's defenses from a bunker beneath City Hall. The massive railguns hidden on New Denver's surface began firing. Each gun was the size of a city block and could accelerate projectiles to significant fractions of light speed. The metal slugs punched through alien hull armor like bullets through paper. One shot could destroy 3 or 4 ships if they were lined up right. War Marshal Kethver's flagship took multiple hits from the railguns. His ship was 2 miles long and carried the most advanced armor in the hegemony fleet. But the human weapons tore through it like it was made of cardboard. "Engineering damage report. Hull breaches on decks 40 through 60, his chief engineer reported. "Main engines are offline. Weapon systems are failing, sir. We need to retreat." But retreat was not possible. The human ships had surrounded the alien fleet completely. Every escape route was blocked by human vessels that fired quantum torpedoes with deadly accuracy. The aliens found themselves trapped in a killing field of their own making. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, only 12 alien ships managed to escape into hyperspace. They carried with them the news that humanity was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The human losses were minimal, 18 ships and 300 brave souls who had given their lives to protect their world. "Commander," Turner addressed his fleet as they watched the wreckage of the alien armada drift through space. "This is just the beginning, people. We've bloodied their nose, but now they know we're not the easy target they expected. They'll come back with more ships and better plans. The real war starts now. The news of victory at New Denver spread through human space faster than light-speed communications. On Earth, people cheered in the streets. On Mars, colonists celebrated in the domed cities. On the outer worlds, farmers and miners felt hope for the first time since the war began. But the victory also reached the Galactic Council chambers on Centauri Prime. Chancellor Vexstar received the battle reports with growing fury. His compound eyes reflected the cold light of the chamber as he addressed the emergency session of allied species. "The humans have shown their true nature," he declared. To the assembled alien representatives, "They are more dangerous than we calculated. They fight with weapons we do not understand. They use tactics we have never seen. This cannot be allowed to continue." The ethereal collective speaker pulsed with angry energy. "How many ships did we lose at New Denver?" "Almost 800, Chancellor Vexstar replied. "Out of 800 ships, only 12 escaped to tell the tale." The hall filled with angry sounds as representatives from dozens of species voiced their outrage. Some clicked their claws in fury. Others hissed through razor-sharp teeth. The aquatic species thrashed in their water tanks. "We underestimated them," admitted Admiral Coralthax from his tank of dark water. "We thought they were just another primitive species with a few stolen weapons. We were wrong." Chancellor Vexstar raised his forearms for silence. When the hall became quiet, he spoke in a voice that carried the weight of absolute authority. "Increase the invasion force to 20,000 ships. Strip every sector of its defense fleets if necessary. No more underestimating these mammals. We will crush them with such overwhelming force that resistance becomes impossible." The alien representatives agreed with a chorus of clicks, hisses, and electronic sounds. The largest military force in galactic history would be assembled. Humanity had won the first battle, but the war was far from over. 3 weeks after the victory at New Denver, Admiral Carter stood in his command center on Luna Station watching the long-range sensors paint a terrifying picture. 20,000 alien warships were moving toward human space like a tide of death. The aliens had stripped entire sectors of their defense fleets to build this armada. Every species in the galaxy had contributed their best ships and most experienced crews. Captain Danny Rodriguez worked at the tactical station, his face pale, as he studied the enemy formations. "Admiral, they're not making the same mistakes they made at New Denver. Intelligence reports show they've reorganized into mixed species battle groups. They're sharing technology and tactics. This is their entire military capability." The command center buzzed with activity as officers received reports from across human space. Every world was preparing for the storm that was coming. Every space station had been turned into a fortress. Every asteroid belt had been seeded with weapons and traps. Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked frantically in her laboratory deep beneath Luna's surface. She had not slept in 2 days and her hands shook from too much coffee and too little rest. "Admiral, the quantum field generators are ready for deployment around Earth's orbit. But we'll only get one shot at this. Once we use them, the power requirements will drain every fusion reactor on the planet." General Patricia Hayes coordinated the defense of the outer colonies from her bunker on Mars. The red planet had been transformed into a massive weapons platform. The old terraforming machines now served as mass drivers that could launch chunks of rock at near light speed. Proxima Centauri, Volf 359, and Barnard Star all report ready status. Each system has been turned into a killing field. If they want our worlds, they'll have to pay for them in blood. Colonel Nathan Brooks supervised the final preparations on Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. The colony had been built inside the moon's frozen ocean, protected by miles of solid ice. Now that ice had been turned into armor, and the thermal vents on the ocean floor powered weapons that could crack a battleship in half. "Sir, we're as ready as we'll ever be. When they come, we'll make them remember this place." The alien coalition struck simultaneously across 12 human systems like a hammer blow that shook the entire galaxy. The ethereal collective attacked Proxima Centauri with their energy-based weapons that could drain the power from entire planets. The hegemony's insectoid fleets targeted the industrial worlds of Vol 359 with swarms of fighter craft that moved like angry wasps. The aquatic depth lords emerged from hyperspace near Jupiter's moons with ships that could survive in the crushing depths of gas-giant atmospheres, but humanity had learned hard lessons from the first encounters. Every system was a carefully prepared trap. Every world was a fortress bristling with weapons. Every asteroid field hid surprises that would make the aliens pay dearly for every mile of space. At Proxima Centauri, Commander Lisa Park waded in her command bunker as the ethereal fleet approached the system's outer edge. She was 35 years old and had lost her husband in the Battle of Titan's Gate. Her 2 children were safe in the evacuation bunkers, but she would never see them again if her plan failed. All stations, prepare Nova mines for detonation. Wait for my signal. The ethereal collective ships were beautiful and terrible to see. They looked like living stars with arms of pure energy that reached across space. Each ship was a being of pure consciousness that had evolved beyond the need for physical form. They considered themselves the most advanced species in the galaxy. Human defenses detected, reported Zephyros to his fellow energy beings. Primitive, matter-based weapons. We will drain their power sources and consume their energy. This will be simple. Commander Park watched the alien fleet enter the kill zone she had prepared. The Nova mines were her own invention, devices that could artificially trigger stellar flares from Proxima Centauri itself. Now, she whispered into her communicator. The star exploded with artificial fury. Waves of plasma and radiation washed over the ethereal fleet like a tsunami of fire. The energy beings screamed across subspace frequencies as their forms were disrupted and scattered. 300 ships died in the first few seconds. Their consciousness scattered across the void like smoke in the wind, near Vol 359. Captain Tony Mitchell led a small flotilla of human ships against the massive hegemony fleet. His force was outnumbered 50-1, but he had advantages the aliens did not expect. The industrial stations in the system had been converted into weapons platforms with tractor beam arrays powerful enough to move asteroids. All ships, execute gravity well maneuver, Mitchell ordered as the insectoid fleet moved into attack formation. The tractor beams locked onto the alien ships and began dragging them toward Vol 359's neutron star companion. The hegemony vessels had powerful engines, but they were not designed to escape the combined pull of artificial gravity wells and a collapsed star. One by one, the alien ships were pulled into the neutron star's crushing embrace. War Marshal Kethfer watched from his new flagship as his fleet was systematically destroyed by human tactics he had never seen before. These creatures fight like demons. How do they turn our own weapons against us? The pattern repeated across human space as the alien armada met prepared human positions. Superior numbers crashed against advanced human technology and the desperate courage of a species fighting for survival. Every human system extracted a terrible price from the invaders, but the aliens were learning quickly. After losing nearly 5,000 ships in the initial assaults, they changed their tactics completely. Instead of trying to fight the humans up close where human cunning could be used against them, they began systematic bombardment from extreme range. The new alien strategy was simple and brutal. They would jump into a system at maximum range and bombard human positions with everything they had. They would use their numerical superiority to overwhelm human defenses through sheer firepower, staying too far away for human tricks to work. At Barnard's Star, the human defenders watched helplessly as 1,000 alien ships positioned themselves just outside the range of the system's weapons. The bombardment began with waves of energy that could melt continents. The human stations and planetary defenses fought back bravely, but they were slowly being ground down by overwhelming firepower. President Murphy received the casualty reports in her bunker beneath Geneva. Each number represented brave men and women who had died defending their homes. Each destroyed ship was someone's son or daughter who would never come home. Admiral, we're losing ground. They've learned to fight us at range where their numbers matter more than our technology. Admiral Carter studied the tactical displays with tired eyes. He had been awake for 3 days straight, managing the defense of humanity's scattered worlds. His uniform was wrinkled and coffee stains marked his sleeves, but his voice remained steady. Then it's time for the final gambit, Madam President, Operation Earthrise. The President felt a chill run down her spine. Operation Earthrise was humanity's last desperate plan. If it failed, the human species would be extinct within a week. If it succeeded, the galaxy would never be the same. Are you certain there's no other way? Ma'am, we've fought them on 12 different worlds and lost 8 of them. Our outer colonies are falling one by one. Earth is all we have left to defend. And when they come here, they'll come with everything they have left. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her computer screens with bloodshot eyes. The quantum field generators are in position. All the calculations check out. But Admiral, once we activate them, there's no going back. We'll have exactly 17 minutes to end this war or watch our species die. General Hayes leaned over the tactical display, studying the projected approach routes the alien fleet would take to reach Earth. 17 minutes to save humanity, or see it destroyed. Those are the stakes we're playing for now. Colonel Brooks spoke from Europa via secure communication link. Admiral, my people are ready to hold Jupiter as long as possible. We'll buy you time to prepare Earth's defenses. But sir, when that main fleet comes, it's going to be the biggest armada in galactic history, Admiral Carter nodded grimly. Outside Luna Station's windows, he could see Earth hanging in space like a blue jewel. It was the birth world of humanity, the cradle of everything they had built among the stars. Soon it would either be humanity's salvation or its grave. Then we'd better make sure we're ready for them, he said quietly. Signal all remaining human forces. Fall back to Earth. It's time to make our final stand. The Sol system had become a graveyard of broken ships and shattered dreams. Earth hung in space, surrounded by the wreckage of the greatest space battle in galactic history. Pieces of alien vessels drifted past human defense stations like metallic. Snow, the ice rings of Saturn, glowed with the heat of recent explosions. Jupiter's moons were scarred with impact craters from falling debris. Chancellor Vextar stood on the bridge of his massive command ship, Absolute Authority. The vessel was the size of a small moon and carried enough firepower to destroy entire solar systems. Around him floated the surviving representatives of the Galactic Alliance, energy beings that pulsed with barely contained rage, crystalline. Hive minds that sang with harmonized fury, aquatic predators that thrashed in their mobile tanks. 15,000 ships remain under our command, reported War Marshal Zephyros, his energy form flickering with exhaustion. The humans cannot have more than 200 vessels left operational. Their colonies are silent, their fleets are scattered or destroyed. This should be over. But Chancellor Vextar had learned to fear human cunning during the long months of warfare. His compound eyes studied the tactical displays with growing unease. Do not underestimate them, War Marshal. They have surprised us at every encounter. Something about their silence troubles me deeply. The alien commander was right to be worried. Hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, the last remnants of humanity's space fleet waited in perfect silence. 200 ships was all that remained of Earth's mighty navy. But each ship carried the hopes of an entire species and crews who had nothing left to lose on Earth. In the deep bunkers beneath what had once been UDEF headquarters in Geneva, the final gathering of human leadership took place. Admiral Carter sat at the head of a metal table, his face showing the strain of months of continuous battle. His hair had turned completely white and deep lines marked his weathered features. President Murphy sat beside him, her kind grandmother's face now hard with the weight of decisions that would determine humanity's fate. Dr. Elena Rodriguez hunched over her laptop computer, making final calculations for humanity's last desperate gambit. Her hands shook from exhaustion and her eyes were red from staring at screens for too many hours. Admiral, the quantum field generators are in position around Earth's orbit. When we activate them, they'll create a temporary barrier that will reflect any energy weapon back at its source with double the power. General Hayes leaned forward, her scarred hands clasped tightly together. Doctor, what's the catch? There's always a catch with your super weapons. The power requirements are enormous, Rodriguez admitted quietly. We can only maintain the field for exactly 17 minutes. After that, every fusion reactor on Earth will be drained. We'll be defenseless. President. Murphy looked around the room at the faces of humanity's last hope. These were the people who had guided the human species from a single world to an interstellar civilization. Now they sat in a bunker planning humanity's final gambit. 17 minutes to end a war that's raged across the galaxy. What are our chances? Admiral Carter's weathered face showed no emotion, but his voice carried the weight of absolute certainty. Madam President, in 17 minutes we'll either save humanity or witness its extinction. There's no middle ground left. Number. Retreat, no surrender, we win or we die. Captain Jake Sullivan spoke for the younger generation of warriors who had grown up fighting aliens among the stars. His metal eye glowed softly red in the dim bunker light. Sir, the crews are ready. Every human ship, every orbital platform, every ground-based weapon is charged and waiting. We all know what's at stake, we all know this is our last chance. Outside Earth's atmosphere, the alien armada prepared for what they believed would be the final assault of the war. 15,000 ships arranged themselves in perfect formation like a steel wall stretching across space. The firepower concentrated against Earth could crack moons or boil away oceans. Each ship carried weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds. Chancellor Vextar stood before the great viewscreen on his flagship, watching the small blue world that had defied an entire galaxy. His insectoid features showed no mercy as he prepared to give the order that would end the human species forever. Around him, his alien allies waited for the moment of final victory. The Shard Empire's crystal beings sang in harmony as they charged. Their energy weapons. The Depth Lords thrashed in their water tanks with predatory excitement. The Ethereal Collective pulsed with the satisfaction of beings who believed they were about to restore order to the galaxy. People of Earth, Chancellor Vextar broadcast on all human communication frequencies. You have fought bravely, but this ends now. Surrender unconditionally, and we will allow your species to survive as subjects of the Galactic Council. Continue to resist, and we will turn your world to ash and scatter it among the stars. The alien commander expected desperate pleas for mercy or formal surrender negotiations. Instead, the response came from an unexpected source that made every alien on every ship pause in confusion. An elderly human voice, speaking with the calm dignity of someone who had lived a full life, reached the alien fleet through hijacked communication arrays. This is Henry Watson, speaking for the people of Earth from my farm in Kansas. I'm 82 years old and I've lived through 3 wars. My grandson died defending Proxima Centauri. My daughter fell at Volf 359. My son-in-law was killed in the battle over New Denver. The transmission continued as 15,000 alien warriors listened to the words of one old farmer. You want to know our answer to your ultimatum, Chancellor? You want to know if we'll surrender to save our lives? Here's your answer from every human man, woman, and child on this planet. Come and take it. The communication ended, leaving the alien fleet in stunned silence. They had expected military protocols or government negotiations. Instead, they had heard the voice of ordinary humanity, unbowed, unbroken, and absolutely refusing to surrender even when facing impossible odds. In that moment of profound quiet, as 15,000 alien warships prepared to unleash destruction upon Earth, and as the last defenders of humanity made ready to trigger their final desperate plan, the galaxy held its breath. The silence stretched across space and time. Like a held breath before a scream, Admiral Carter's finger hovered over the activation switch for Operation Earthrise. Around the world, quantum field generators hummed with barely contained energy that could reshape reality itself. In space, the last human ships powered their weapons for one final desperate charge against overwhelming odds. The men and women in the Geneva bunker felt the weight of their species' entire history pressing down on them. From the first human who looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there, to the brave souls who had built the first spaceships and reached for the void, to the colonists who had carved new homes from hostile worlds, it all came down. To the next 17 minutes. President Murphy stood up slowly, her kind face showing the steel beneath. Admiral, you have authorization to proceed with Operation Earthrise. May God help us all. Colonel Brooks' voice crackled over the communication system from his position on Europa. Admiral, enemy ships are beginning their final approach. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. This is it, sir. This is everything they have left. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her computers one last time. Quantum field generators are fully charged and ready for activation. All calculations confirm. We'll have exactly 17 minutes of protection. After that, we're on our own. Admiral Carter placed his hand on the activation switch and looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders. Outside, he knew 15,000 alien ships were moving into attack position. Above, the last human defenders waited for his signal. Around the world, quantum generators stood, ready to change the course of galactic history. The battle for humanity's survival was about to reach its climax. In 17 minutes, the galaxy would discover whether courage and determination could triumph over overwhelming numbers, or whether humanity's brief but brilliant flame would finally be extinguished among the stars. The calm before impact stretched across the solar system like a prayer whispered in the darkness, and then Admiral Carter pressed the switch that would decide the fate of the human species forever.